Hi, Diana. So today is International Women's Day, and I am inviting us all to give ourselves a new name.
Hmm.
Some name that really tunes into that feminine essence that we are. Maybe our goddess name, unicorn name, fairy name. What is your name for today? Hi, Sladyana.
Now we talked before this, of course. When you called me Sparkles, it did give me Sparkles. So yes, Miss
I
Sparkles
love
will be
sparkles.
amazing.
Okay, so welcome, Miss Sparkles. Okay, you put me on the spot. I put myself on the spot. What's my name today? If it's not Joy, it is Ananda. I think Ananda. Ananda really
Oh,
rings true. I don't know where that's coming from. Hey, Louisa. All goddesses are getting together. So, Mirella, what is your insight for today? What came through when you did your morning ritual that I know you do?
yes. When I did my morning rituals, I was really asking the universe to give me guidance for my next step because I was walking down the path this morning with my dogs. And I was pondering on Women's Day, and I was like, we always fight for our rights, and we get told to get husbands with a lot of money. And if you get money for ourselves, we make ourselves small and don't celebrate it. So I was like, I want to be free from that. I want to let it go and
Mm.
sparkle and inspire so many women that you don't have to be a sparkle from anger or frustration, but just be that.
Well, I feel we don't really. That spark of anger is so helpful sometimes to start a little
Get the next
change,
step.
right? But it's not sustainable.
True. I was angry
Mm.
when I
I,
walking back, so that was
yeah,
my next
yeah.
step. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel you. And I think a lot of us are dealing with anger right now, that might not even be our anger. I mean, of course, it's ours because we're feeling it in our bodies, but sometimes it's anger that we're just also picking up on. And, if we look at where we are right now on this planet, it's hardly surprising, isn't it?
Yeah. It's
Mm.
terrible.
And I'm going to throw something out there. I sometimes have this, these different parts of yourself that are kind of watching you. Do you have that too? And sometimes I see myself doing a Facebook Live or something like this, where we got dressed up, we put pink on, we got our hair in state, right? And then I imagine that maybe somebody's watching and saying, yeah, it's easy for you to sparkle. You got it all, right? And I feel that because a lot of that, yes, is true. I am so blessed with my life. And at the same time, I know that we're all the creators of our lives, right? And in every life, I think there's always something, there's always a but. It's like, it's all great, except for
But
this thing, right? And even in these times right now, even if we ourselves are in a comfortable place, we've got a roof over our house, we've got food on our tables, our children's safe relatively, right? um, there are many that are not. And when I heard this morning in the news that there were, so many children dying in the Ukraine, and the suffering of children is so big, it really that struck my heart. And I was like, yes, yes, it's International Women's Day, and yes, I believe that this change that we need on the planet is going to come through women rising. And we have been working so hard on rising for decades. I mean, I know you and I have, isn't that true?
yes.
We've been doing decades of deep inner work of really, facing our shadow sides and looking at all the stuff. And we're not done. We're not claiming to be done. And at the same time, I noticed that even in our workshops, it would be 85% women and 25% men. So I think, this disparity in shared reality that we have right now, that we have a whole flock of women who have been rising, 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 stepping more and more into their feminine power, even inquiring what is that. And then on the other hand, we have men who they feel, if I tune in, it feels as if mankind is being shaken in the core, and they're terrified. And I want to share a story about that when I have there's a good space, because I had a really interesting experience this weekend that I feel tunes into that. So what do you think?
Yeah, I feel you. I see the same around me. Men are lost, women are lost. We want to give our hearts, but we don't know even how to anymore. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's the how to, what is our next step? So, hi, Linda Maria. Her name for today is Sophia. Welcome, Sophia. Beautiful. Mm. Yeah, so the story, can I tell you the story of this weekend?
Yes, please.
Because it's so, it's sometimes, I think always when we connect the dots looking back, we can see, oh, just this happened and how it unfolded, and it's so magical. So months ago, I was invited to go to Chamonix to an event that a friend of mine was hosting, or he wasn't hosting, actually, was going to be there. And he said, come on over, it's going to be so much fun. And they're usually not in Europe, so come. And I was like, oh, it does sound tempting, but, getting away for that weekend, is it really? It's just having fun. I don't know. It seems an effort. So I said no. Then Christmas rolled around and I went shopping with Grace. And the reason why I'm telling you this story is that I only yesterday realized that this happened. I went shopping with Grace and we saw this hoodie at H&M, right? And I said, oh, that's so cute. You should get that. And it's become one of her favorite hoodies. Forget the hoodie. The story folds that I have a first date or a first meeting with a podcasting company, because I have this intuition thing that I should do a podcast. I should, talk more and put that out there for more people. So I have this meeting with these experts and we get it all set up. The next day, that same friend from the US texts me and says, hey, come on, I really think you should come. Why don't you just come? And I'm like, nah, I don't want to come. And I said, I'm really busy now because I really want to get this podcast set up. And then he said, that's so interesting that you would say podcast, because, the people that I'm hanging out with, one of them is one of the biggest podcasters in the US. And I'm sure he could have, one or the other idea for you. So suddenly it became very interesting. So I checked out flights and trains and it was a hassle and expensive. And I was like, nah. And then I thought, I could just drive. Now, I have a tiny little Fiat Cinquecento, and all my friends were saying, you're going to what? You're going to drive up the Mont Blanc? And I was, yeah. And they were like, do you want to take my big fancy car? Even my mom was offering, because it's so small. And I said, what is this cliche about a small car? This is a perfectly respectable, amazing little car. So I'm going to take this car. So I got in and I drove 9 hours straight. I mean, I stopped to pee, obviously. But I had my snacks. I had, all my CDs and podcasts that I was listening to. I had a blast and I made it. And then yesterday, Grace shows me the hoodie. See that?
No. Oh,
and
wow.
I hadn't even realized. So I had Chamonix Mont Blanc that I bought for my daughter in December, not realizing. And then it all came together. And the reason why I want to share that story on Women's Day is because, it was really an honor and a privilege to be part of a group of 9 men who were actually celebrating a stag party for one of them that was getting married. And I was coming in as, the alien and the woman. And after the weekend, they said, Joy, it was such a pleasure that you were here. Thank you so much for your presence. And I said, it was such an honor. I mean, which stag party would want one woman that's, unless you're, I don't know, the classic Playboy bunny or whatever, or you're bringing in that kind of thing, right? I was not. Who would want another woman there? And the reason why it became incredibly interesting was we decided to go up to the highest point possible. So that's like 4,810 meters, where you're literally opposite the Mont Blanc. And this badass cable car takes you up. Okay, we all book the thing, we get on the thing. And then one of the guys says, and these are all, strong, physically, some of them are ex-Marines and they've been through war. They're tough guys, right? And then one of them said, I might want to say this. I've got a thing about heights. I'm kind of scared. So I said, you're going to be fine. So stand beside me in the gondola. I got you, right? So he was doing really well. And I was showing him, just breathe. And this is going to be great. And I was, doing my thing. And then the other guys were still sort of, oh, well, look at him. And they were like making fun of him in a joking, loving way, but still, imagine this is a trap door. They were still hassling each other. We get to the top, right? And it's really fast. So it's like, vroom, up, vroom, up. So suddenly you're up at 4,810 meters. Now, I do not have a fear of of heights. It's just not there. But I did notice that my body was reacting to the altitude. Okay, so we get up there, and the one who had said, you know, I have an altitude thing was good. He was really stood back. He wouldn't go to the edge, but he was back. And then I noticed that all the others were like, oh, far back on the wall. And I was like, guys, what's going on? They're like, yeah, I didn't think it was going to be so intense. So, you know, so no matter how big and bulky and you know, courageous you are, there can be things that just trigger a panic in you. They were all doing good, okay? But then I turned around and I noticed this little boy, and he was like, I'd say about 9 years old. And he was literally clinging to the back wall, like over hyperventilating. And I was like, oh my God. And then his dad, a really guy, was standing next to him, was like, come on, pull yourself together. And I was like, oh my God, I can't watch this. So I went there and I said, are you okay? And the dad was like, yeah, he's fine. And then I just looked at the boy and I said, listen to me. Breathe. Come on. You've got this. You're safe. This is okay. It's fine. Just do this. Tap here. And then he literally started tapping and breathing, right? And then I knew, okay, I've done my bit. I've got to get out of this now because it's not really my business. And these were all men. Yeah. I was also thinking, you know, if I had that station, I would have someone up there helping people, because that height does something to you. Yeah. And there were a lot of people really uncomfortable. So I think it's good to notice that we all are having fear. We're all experiencing fear on some level, because fear always comes before change and with change, doesn't it?
It's true.
We have to leave what we thought we knew. We have to leave what we're comfortable with, because it's getting uncomfortable. We can no longer not look and see the suffering. We're noticing it, right? Yeah. And I think when we honor that fear in women and in men, then we can start creating a bridge again and say, hey, let's be vulnerable. Let's be intimate into me. You see, I'm going to let you see my fear, and let's talk about it, and let's find solutions together to transform it into excitement for a new world that we're building.
Yeah. And that feeling of that, you know, there's something behind that after the fear. And a lot of people don't experience that because they stop when they feel the fear. And it's so amazing. Yeah, we know that. We do that unconsciously. Sometimes I sit somewhere and I'm like, oh God, there was something bubbling inside of me.
I like the move because of all the tapping. It's a very elegant one. So anybody watching, in a good space right now, not. Especially if you're not in a good space.
Yeah.
Okay, my story continues. Last evening rolls round. Okay, so it's amazing how much men can drink. Let's put that out there too. So I was like, guys. So I stuck it out until midnight, which is a long time for me because I'm such an early riser. So I had to completely change my schedule from getting up at 5 a.m. to, you know. Anyway, so I stuck it out until midnight, and there was all this alcohol, and they were having a lot of fun. And anyway, we reconnected last day. And I had noticed that because I had this we had rooms that had their own doors and own beds, but they were kind of interconnected. So it's like a big apartment, right? You could notice the other people. So I didn't notice anything because I slept with earplugs. I wake up and I look on my phone, which is not normally anything I do when I'm at home because I go right out, right? So change of habit. Look on the phone and I get this text message from one of the guys saying, Joy, are you awake? This was like at 5 something, and I had my phone off, so I didn't see it. So, and then I'm having trouble breathing. Could you help, right? So I wander over and I'm like, okay, what's going on? And he's like, I don't know. I have this feeling. And I said, okay, what kind of feeling? It's not anxiety.
No.
Maybe stress. And I was like, okay. So while you're pacing the room, let's just tap here. And he said, yeah, it feels like my throat is closing up and I can't get air. And, you know, he was describing all these symptoms. And I started tapping and he calmed down. And then here comes the fun bit. I said, so would you be open to do like 5 minutes breath work just to get you in a calm state again? And he said, what kind of breath work? And I said, well, you know, sort of like Wim Hof, because he's a guy. I thought that might be relatable. And he was like, oh, no. And I looked at him and I said, so you're not willing to breathe with me, although it's something that's free, pain-free, and it's actually going to help you? And he stuck in his tracks and he said, oh, okay, sure. So we sat down, and then it was just 5 minutes, and we didn't do the, intense thing. I said, just focus on your breath, and we're just going to take 30 in breaths and 30 out breaths, and just follow me. And I guided him for these 5 minutes, and we just breathed together. And he said, yeah, that feels much better now. And I said, see, and that's all you need to do. That's all you need to do when this feeling comes out. Yeah. So NQ Body Watching, know that we all have feelings, and some are comfortable and joyful, and some are just uncomfortable. Yeah. But there's nothing in you that needs to hold on to that. You can let it go.
Yeah. And the best part of it is that you make him conscious. Aren't you willing? If you aren't willing to go to a next step or make it better, then it's very heavy.
I like that you pointed that out, because you see, looking back now, I noticed that so often in the past, the Joy, right? So Ananda is totally different here. Joy used to stop in her tracks when she noticed that resistance, especially from men, and especially from big kind of, big men. She would just stop in her tracks, and she'd like shrink back again. And I noticed that the new Joy, so Ananda here, is just like, let me make you aware of this. Yeah. Not in a confrontation.
No,
that was the Joy, right? Nicola, actually, even I would like, bam, what? Guess what? But now that I'm learning to just put it out there and say, oh, really? And just ask a question. And of course, it's easier if it's not a personal, intimate relationship, right? Or your dad. But still, it's just noticing those moments. And in those moments, here's what I do. You know what I do? I think you do the same. But maybe you can share your bit. So what I do in those moments when I notice, oh, I have this temptation of shrinking back and like shutting up and zipping it and saying, all right, nothing. Okay. I will say to myself, either I'll say in my head, I choose to expand into joy, love, health, and abundance, while I inspire those around me to do the same. So I'll trigger that in my brain, or I have this image of switching on a light, like these old-fashioned light switches. Yeah, or maybe even these, it's like, bang! Not happening. I'm gonna still stand my light. So what do you do in those moments?
Yeah, I always connect to that feeling as well. Of course, also the sparkles. Normally, when I'm in my old Mirella state, then I will downgrade and think, okay, it's none of my business. Otherwise, I get a conflict. I don't like that. So I'm like, okay, I leave it.
I don't like. Hey, stop. I thought women all love nagging and having conflict.
No, not me. No. I'm starting to get to that point that I'm not avoiding that anymore. And
you're not seeking the conflict, but you're not avoiding it either, right?
Yeah. And that's also how do you put your voice out and which energy. And for me, when I'm having a client with this issue, because for me, of course, the intimate relationships are difficult or more difficult than that. So when somebody is with me, and now I can more like, but what is your real desire? What do you want to go to? And if you want to go to that level, you need to have a next step. And then it's breathing or tapping. Are you willing to do that, to expand yourself? And
so what I'm hearing is that you, for yourself and also for your clients, you then tune into what is it that I really want. And that desire enables you to expand out rather than to shrink back. Is that right?
Because if you don't go to that feeling, you won't be able to make that step, even if you're willing.
True. So that also ties into what Joe Dispenza and all the other great teachers teach us, right? We have to create that feeling of what it would feel like to have overcome the challenge. It's done, right?
That's also amazing.
And that, sorry.
Yeah, because you asked me what I was journaling and what my intention was for today. And I asked the universe, let me feel to how it is to be successful and to be seen and to get out in the world. And here I am with you. So
there you go. You're being seen, you're out in the world, and you're sparkling.
yeah. And I'm feeling quite successful talking with you on this topic. Yeah, of course.
Thank you for that. So Linda's saying tapping is so helpful. Yeah, emotional freedom technique, emotional balance. There are a lot of names for this tapping. We're subscribing around a tapping. Hi, Gretchen. These points, let's just say what they are, because I know that some really want the knowledge as well. You're tapping the endpoints of your kidney meridian. And our kidneys can get a little freaked out and stressed out when we are feeling fear. So when we tap these points, and then even more powerful, right, Mirella, is when we say good things. When we do that together, tapping and saying something, our conscious mind is totally maxed out. So I have to really focus to tap and speak coherently. And here's what you do. If you ever feel anxious, if you feel stressed out and fearful, tap these points, take a few deep breaths, and then say to yourself or out loud, I love and accept myself.
I love and accept myself.
Even if I feel fear.
Even if I feel fear.
At my deepest level.
My deepest level.
And from the very first time I felt this fear.
And at the very first time I felt this fear.
And I choose now.
And I choose now.
To release this fear.
To release this fear.
And to step into my power of courage.
And to step into my power of courage. Courage of power.
Yeah. My goddess self, my God self. I've got this. I've got this. I can do this. I will do this. And I am doing this now. Anything you'd like to add? What's your favorite affirmation?
My favorite affirmation? Yeah, I claim my power back. That's my...
I claim power back. And I give you your power back.
Yeah.
I claim my freedom back. And I give you your freedom back. Nice. Thank you. So do this. You're getting right into your unconscious mind and you're actually unraveling that knot of stories and points of reference in the past that are connected to that feeling of whatever label you want to give it. If it's fear, transform it into courage. And I think courage is a really good lead way into the power of the heart. How do you feel about that, Mirella? Because do you know that courage, the word, actually comes from the French cœur, which is the heart. So true courage is not feeling fear. It's feeling the fear and doing it anyway. That's courage.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. It's you know, when you, the funny thing is that the fear, the same feeling as fear is also excitement, but we make it fear and we don't want to do it anymore. So
we're no longer. Ananda chooses for excitement over fear. Of creating something new, of leaving the shores, the well-known shores, and branching out into something new. And I think if we're able to inspire each other to find that courage and show ways how to release all that drama and trauma of the past, we can all rise together, for male or female. Because I really believe that the more happy people we have on this planet, the better it is for the planet. Because if you see who the aggressors are right now, they're angry men. I mean, I'm sure they're angry women as well, but the ones that are in power right now are just angry men. And when you're angry, you're not happy, are you? So let's send out a wave of love and compassion and that intention that we may all tune into the power of our hearts. And when we've tuned into the power of our hearts, then go into the brain and ask, what is the best way to create this and to make this desire of a beautiful planet happen? And then when the brain gives us an idea, we need to go back into the heart and say, okay, heart, is this a great idea or is it just a so-so idea? And until the heart says yes, we've got to keep going back and forth, right? But the moment the heart says, yes, this is the best next step, do it, then we need to go into our guts. That's where the third brain is. And in our gut brain, we need to get that courage to take that step of action, right? So I remember I used to go heart gut, feel it, do it, feel it, do it. not always such a good idea because timing was usually off. It mostly was not the best way. So I really had to learn, do this, do this, do this, me. Oh, now we go and now we do. So we're giving the shout out also to all those of you who might be sitting on the fence of like, shall I tune into the Power of the Heart workshop? Is it going to be useful? Is it going to be anything new? Why would I invest so much time and money? What we're saying is do it, do it, do it. Because the more we are doing that together, the greater the ripple effect will be. What do you think happens when even just 3 people tune into the power of their hearts and start creating from love? It influences everyone around you. And now just imagine that there'll be people in the room doing it in a safe setting. And then there'll be all the people joining online. We can create a friggin' awesome vortex of love. And that's what we're inviting you to. And it's on a weekend. You don't have to work. You can get your friends in. You can join with your kids. I promise I'll behave. I won't tell any dirty jokes. I promise. I know kids are watching. I can watch my language. Hey.
It would be amazing. We have not a few places left to be live with us.
Oh, we do? I mean, you mean in person?
In person, yeah. So of course live stream is amazing, but if you can and are willing to come, yeah.
Maybe 3 hugs.
Yeah.
We were all healthy. So
yeah.
know that we're also going to make sure that we keep a very healthy environment there. So always have our oils going on and the diffusers. And, you know, I also, you know, because I know that fear is sometimes rampant, right? The energy, and this research has shown, right? Joe Dispenza showed this at his workshop, his retreat that I went to in Mexico, which was right in the pandemic, right? He was teaching the entire time. Which I think is amazing that he was able to do that, because he just, you know, popped around the planet wherever it was possible, bam, and it was sold out. And he showed the research that by doing all this work, meditating together, doing the breath work together, really getting into the state, connecting to the quantum field, all that good stuff, people's immune systems, woof, get a boost. People start healing from, you know, so-called unhealable diseases. I've seen it happen again and again. I mean, you have too, Mirella, right?
Yes, of course.
It's up.
And it's a funny thing, because in Holland, in the Netherlands, there are no restrictions anymore. So, and we had our first live event in January with restrictions, and it was so much fun, and we connected, and it was amazing. You were there online, and yeah, it was so fun, and yeah, people are very lovely.
We have guest too. I really want to point the guys out too.
Yeah.
So of course it's Ryan teaching, and right, it's me and 3 guys. Seems to be a pattern here. We have Janos, who is an incredible Dutch guy, who's an expert in sacred geometry, famous for his activations, which are beautiful visual meditations, where you really look into this kaleidoscope. You're getting all the sacred geometry, which does some beautiful stuff to the brain, and then you go into state. So it's such a beautiful synergy, I feel, this time. And then we have Brahman Mena, who is a very spectacular guy in himself, you know, living off light and teaching us how to get into that pranic energy. And I'm glad we're going to be eating. So, you know, I'm looking forward to the Dutch food, just say.
It will be amazing. Sushi is not Dutch, you know that, eh?
It's okay. It's fish. And I'm sure that counts too. Hi, Claudie. I love that our team, you might not know that, is amazing. So, of course, Mirella is going to be there doing all the, I call you the screen queen at the back. You know, got all the lines and the line, live stream and, you know, phone thing. She's like the super checker. And I love that we get to connect on which music to play. So that's always a bit of magic, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's so much fun to tune in and create that bubble of energy. It's amazing. And it's always worked out.
It has. And we have Claudie. Claudie is more the background scene girl who's managing customer support together with Anya, right? And she's going to be in the chat, I believe. So we really, it's a family event.
Yeah, it's magic.
Patricia,
Sorry?
Patricia's going to be there too, right?
It's going to be there. Yeah. Menjeline is
Patricia, Martina. Menjeline is going to be there. She's new to our tribe. And yeah, we really look forward to creating a magical weekend. I feel so uplifted now. How about you, Mirella?
Yeah, and we were having so much fun already before this, so it's always amazing to connect and, to make a circle that people can come in and connect with this beautiful event and with us. And that's also a beautiful love ripple. Yeah.
I agree. I heard a beautiful channeling once about this is a person who has really studied something called the Earth families. So his whole concept is there are kind of 12 different human tribes on this family, on this Earth. And he said something interesting. He said, now is a time where in all our circles, we need to recognize the other Earth families. So basically people who care about Mother Earth and who are kind of taking care, and that essence is there, right? And there seem to be 12 different ones. So our job is to recognize each other. And when those 12, when like one of each get together, a 13th energy is created. And do you know what he calls that? The crystalline energy, Christ consciousness, is created.
Wow.
And when I heard that, I was like, that makes so much sense. Think the 12 apostles, a lot of the what do you call it? Those circles of wisdom.
Yeah.
That often 12 people. So something magical happens when we get together with that intention. Yeah. Number one. But number two, something happens when we get together in sets of 12. So the numbers play a big role too. And we're meeting 18th to 20th of March. It's spring. There's going to be some cool stuff happening.
For sure.
So, the link is in the comments. I saw that, of course, Claudia posted it.
Yeah.
And we'd love you at this video. If you enjoyed anything that we said, right, then share it with your friends and come gather with us. Yeah. In person in Rotterdam or online. We're going to have it all translated also into Dutch. Say something Dutch, Mirella. Say something to your
wat wil je
friends.
horen? Ik vind het fantastisch om dit met jou te doen. En ik hoop dat iedereen die Nederlands spreekt bij ons komt in Rotterdam. Want het wordt echt een mooi feestje. Niet alleen in de sparkles, maar ook vanuit liefde. En dan gaan we connecten en knuffelen. En zoveel magic maken en creëren. Dus ik hoop dat jullie erbij zijn.
Lots of knuffles, I think.
Yeah.
So, ladies and gentlemen, have a beautiful, awe-inspiring, kind, loving, wise, expansive International Women's Day. The 111th. So 111. We love you.